Let's talk about some returning quarterbacks. Cam Rising, DTR. Here's the last time we did this show. DTR was not the UCLA quarterback we were talking about, right?
Right. Yeah,
Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that. Dylan Gabriel was the UCLA quarterback. And Brandon Huffman mentioned this. Caleb Williams goes in the portal. He goes to Oklahoma. Dylan Gabriel, we know now, Caleb Williams at USC. And one of the most productive players in the league, DTR, returns to UCLA quarterback.
Yeah, I just love when you look across the logos, right? I have them over to my right here of every one of our teams, and I'm looking at who I project to be the starting quarterback. And you think about some of the guys coming back and the tools they have, right? Best quarterback, running back duo in the Pac-12. You could argue the country when we're talking about zone read, RPOs, the legs of the quarterback, Zach Charbonnet, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, right? Then you look at what's the best trio of tight end, running back, quarterback in the country. Cam Rising, Brant Keithy, Tavion Thomas. Find me a better trio in the country. These guys are coming back with great mastery of what they're doing, right? DTR has been in Chip Kelly's scheme his entire college football life. And what I love about DTR is, remember, he had 304 snaps in college, in high school as a quarterback, right? Most quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels, he had over 800, right? So the amount of attempts throwing the ball as a quarterback, DTR just hasn't had when you comp other players that were elite in high school. So it's taken him some time to grow, and we've seen the steps. Look at his numbers. The turnovers have come down every year. I expect a huge year for him. Cam Rising, same thing. He should be in the Heisman discussion right now. He should be in the odds for the Heisman. And if they can put it on Florida in week 1 of the season, he's going to have a ton of hype around him throughout the entire year, as he should after what he did this year, leading his team to a Rose Bowl appearance. So I look at those two guys, obviously. And then we go to Tanner McKee. We talked to David Shaw about him. You talk to anybody in the league, and they talk about the arm of Tanner McKee. That's always one of the first questions I get asked when I talk to NFL scouts. Tell me about Stanford's quarterback. What's he like? I've seen him deal a little bit on film. I've watched his season. How is he doing? What do you expect this year? He's clearly a guy in that conversation as a returner. And as you look around the rest of the league, you're wondering, like, all right, well, of course, Jaden DeLauro at Arizona. But other than that, you're thinking, all right, who knows what happens at Colorado? That's going to be TBD. I think Oregon State's going to be a competition, as we heard from Jonathan Smith. But the rosters, the talent at that position, man, it is going to be a blast to watch because, like we said in the open, I think it's all elevated at that position in this conference.
Well, and it's your point on the open is it's guys that can hit the ground running. I mean, that's a part of it. The portal in this league has been very good to the quarterback position, but don't let it overshadow, who knows, maybe the two best quarterbacks are guys who are already here. Although Caleb Williams, I mean, his numbers would say otherwise. But, and also I would add this too. Think about the way specifically DTR ended the season, right? Those last 3 games after he didn't play against Utah, which was tough, but against Colorado, USC, and Cal, all wins. He was, just look at the numbers, probably over 70% completion. He was 7 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, so 10 touchdowns accounted for in the last 3 games. He seemed to kind of hit his stride at the very end of the year. And he had dealt with some injury during the season prior to that.
Yeah, and he's extremely confident. I think I look at that, and I just think being around this position for a while now, Guy, confidence is a thing that most quarterbacks usually project but don't always have. And I think for DTR, coming out of the program, he came out of a high school in Bishop Gorman, he would say even early on in his career, he was just trying to survive. And I can remember second quarter at home against Cincinnati, Wilton Speight gets knocked out of the game and he's in. I can remember him starting against Oklahoma at Oklahoma the very next week. I mean, this guy was thrust into the fire and at times was brilliant. And at times he looked like the young player and experienced player that he was. And I just think now with everything he did last year, right? He had a total transformation around, he just poured himself into his teammates. He was all about that, right? His Twitter headline was like, "We, not me." And now you add another year of that. I love that he's coming back. It reminds me a little bit, not the player, but the reason Justin Herbert came back to Oregon because he said he wanted to learn how to be a pro. I look at DTR, a great opportunity for him this year to learn how to be a pro from a guy who's been in the pro. So I'm pumped for that. And then I think when we go big picture QB, like think of the top portal quarterbacks, right? Spencer Rattler was in the conversation, Dylan Gabriel, Max Johnson, maybe, Keaton Slovis, Quinn Ewers, Zach Calzada. But like ultimately, this league crushed it when it came from that perspective. Did you say Dart? Yeah, Jackson Dart. Okay, another one. But ultimately, like this league absolutely thrived when it came to the transfer portal and quarterbacks coming in. Cameron Ward, everybody was on him. Obviously, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, the inter-conference transfer that we've referenced a few times. I'm really bullish on this year's quarterback class in the Pac-12.